Think all electric cars are the same? Think again. This is the Hyundai Inster, the small electric car turning efficiency into excitement and compactness into cool. And it's not just another urban runabout, right? It's Hyundai's answer to a futuristic electric city car. Welcome to this episode of The Future is Electric. Alright, so what is the Inster? The Inster is your new electric city car. Very tiny in size, right? Sitting between the A and B segment. Just 3.8 meters long, 1.6 meters wide, and 1.5 meters high. It has this unique boxy looking shape to it, which of course means we get excellent headroom. I am 6 foot, not nearly, I am 6 foot tall, and I have ample headroom on top of me over here. Now, it's here to fill a void, right? Left by companies like Smart, who are no longer going to make their Smart 4.2 and 4.4 models. It's going to fill the void left by the Honda E, which again has exited production. And I think they've come in at the right time, as this wave of cheap electric vehicles starts to finally hit the market. And I think Hyundai here, my first impressions, have a very good proposition on offer. Let me remind you, 12,500 euros, including 2025 Maltese government incentives for a brand new Inster. That alone should make you run to the showroom. But I'm gonna try out the car a bit more and give you more of my impressions during the drive here today. So let me go through a bit the technical specs. Of course, I won't go into too much detail, because for that you should check out my tech focused review being linked down below on the Insta, released a few weeks back. Now, there's actually the choice between a smaller electric motor, 95 horsepower, and the small battery, 39 kilowatt hour usable, or then opting for a bigger electric motor, which is 113 horsepower and a larger battery pack. Now, for my advice on which battery pack you should go for, based on over a decade of personal family experience owning electric vehicles, do check out my tech focus review, because I give you a little insight into which battery I'd recommend for the Inster. You can scan the QR code on the screen at the moment to get linked directly to that video. Now, this electric motor battery combo results in 0 to 100 times sitting between 10 and 11 seconds. So it's not the crazy fast, ludicrous speed acceleration speeds we are used to in electric vehicles, right? But let me tell you, for this size a car, and for an electric car, it's actually sitting around 1.3 tons. It's not that heavy, right? For this size electric car, that is plenty. And what I can assure you is at no point will you feel this car is weak, because once you put your foot down, there is a steady acceleration, which, let me tell you, will still feel like it's gonna go on and on forever till you have to pull off the accelerator pedal. So more than enough power in this front wheel drive Inster. So let me talk to you about the trim levels available in the Inster. So here in Malta we have the Trend available, which is your base level variant, and then you have the Premium trim, which is essentially the one I've been given today, the one I'm driving in this video. Now, it's worth noting that that Trend base level variant is very well spec'd out nonetheless. However, you do get a few extra creature comforts in this premium version. For starters, on the exterior, the rims upgrade themselves from 15-inch to 17-inch rims. Inside, we get the addition of a wireless phone charger right here in the center console. But for me, my personal favorite feature, which is quite unique to the Inster, and it's a great thing to have, particularly for this size of vehicle. Remember, we're dealing with a small city car. The fact that with the premium level trim, you can essentially move the seats at the back further backwards, increasing the legroom for the rear passengers, which again, for a car this size, is a great thing to have. Another awesome feature is the fact that the front seats, both of them, although you'd want to do it for the passenger, I guess, because otherwise how are you going to drive? You can lower the seat completely flat, which means now in this tiny 3.8 meter car, right, we can carry very long items because there's no obstruction of the passenger seat. So you have a completely flat floor essentially from the very front here all the way to the very back, but again, only available in the premium trim. Of course, another addition of the premium trim is the bigger electric motor and the larger battery pack, although I have to mention that is an option that you can take essentially without going for premium. So you can just upgrade the battery and the electric motor separate from the other premium features, which is a great choice to have and not one we find very often. All right, so I've parked just to walk you through a bit this interior. So my first impressions this morning when getting in the car is definitely the build quality in here is on a class of its own compared to the other low-cost EVs options available. I mean, the steering just feels solid, and you can really feel how everything Hyundai have done in their latest models, particularly their electric vehicles, right? The Hyundai Ioniq 5, 6, Kona, etc. How that technology has sort of funneled its way down into this entry-level electric vehicle. Two-screen setup, center infotainment system and gauge cluster around 10 inches in size each. Graphics very crisp. I am a big fan of the Hyundai infotainment system. I think it's well organized, still highly featured, and a great thing as well that besides the fantastic screen, nonetheless we get quite a bit of physical buttons to control the car. Nonetheless, essentially we're given the choice. For example, climate control, full set of physical buttons right here in the center console, although you still can adjust from the screen. Great that we have this choice. The disadvantage of having all these features is that the interior does, yes, feel quite busy and can be a bit overwhelming the first time you step in it, but I'm sure as you become accustomed to the car, you will sort of get used to where everything is, particularly the steering wheel, right, which seems to have more stalks on it than a space shuttle. So essentially you have your drive mode selector down here, which is very comfortable to have over there nonetheless. Indicators up here, but then also the Regen pedals. So they are giving us a lot of control from the steering wheel. But as I said, build quality and feeling absolutely fantastic. You also get the drive mode selector from right here in the steering wheel as well. So really busy steering wheel, so it's gonna take some time to get used to where your hands have to go depending on what you want to do over here. Electric windows front and back in this premium level trim, USB, USB-C and the 12 volts. In terms of the seats, of course, it is a 4-seater, so you're not going to fit 5 adults in this car. But keep in mind, the front set of seats actually look like a bench seat, which the cup holders essentially integrated into the seat over here, including a space if you want to keep your phone in that position vertically if you don't have it in the wireless charger available here. Armrest, both sides nice and comfortable. Here you do have just ever so slightly bit of padding, not so much on this side, but I haven't felt uncomfortable driving the car. The only gripe I have about this car, and I wasn't expecting it, is visibility. Now it's true, to be fair, I am, as you may have caught on, driving a left-hand drive version, since this is a demo unit for Malta and the right-hand drive ones are still to arrive, so that may be playing a bit to my visibility a bit here today while driving, but it's not the greatest of visibility, both when you look forward, because the section here with the mirror is just absolutely huge, but even when you look backwards, the C-pillar in particular, pretty chunky back there, but it is a small car, right? So you do have that go-kart like driving experience, so you are gonna have to sort of move your body a bit to get better visibility when driving. Having said that, when parking, no problems at all, because you can activate the rear view camera with a click, and it's pretty decent as well. Yeah, I'm a fan though of this interior, the fact they give us so much choice, and the fact that the build quality, as I said, in my opinion, on a class of its own for this level of vehicle. Now for me, the standout feature in the Hyundai electric vehicles, and definitely present in this Inster, has to be their Regen system. I think from all the electric brands and car brands in general, I think they've nailed it, because they give the driver all the choices available. So Regen controlled very nicely from the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, so you can essentially press the left side to increase your Regen. Therefore, as soon as you let go of the accelerator, the car will slow down, or vice versa, you use the pedal on the right hand side to reduce the Regen. And you can also use them just by holding them down rather than tapping them. You can use them to brake the car essentially. So without pressing the brake pedal here, pressing on the Regen will slow down the vehicle. So it's an extremely comfortable experience. But perhaps a level up from this has to be their iPedal mode. So essentially it's activated by pressing on the pedal on the left to its maximum point, and then that activates the iPedal, which is essentially their one pedal driving mode. Now this means that yes, you can drive this car using just the accelerator pedal. A next level feature, particularly in traffic situations. So basically, as you're approaching the point where you want to stop, you lift off the accelerator, the car will slow down, first using the electric motor working in reverse essentially, thus charging the battery at the same time, and then it applies the normal physical brakes to bring the car to a complete halt. Does take some time to get used to, okay, but once you get used to it, I think you're going to like this feature a lot. Alright, so I've just completed my range test, something I do with all the cars on the channel. Methodology here is I drive the cars for 50 kilometers and I monitor the efficiency of the car, how it's performing, and then knowing the battery size, we can deduce the real world driving range on a day like today with today's conditions. So I'm not taking any notice of the range figure indicated in the dashboard, which can fluctuate. I'm looking at the actual data the car is giving us in terms of efficiency, and here we've averaged an efficiency over these 50 kilometers today of 13.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is quite a good result. Now, I want to also tell you a bit about today. So 32 degrees Celsius at the moment, so quite hot, but not too hot that it will affect the range. In fact, something cool Hyundai give us here is that they show us how the energy in the battery is being used, and we're seeing something like 60, nearly 70% here was used for the actual movement of the vehicle. A big chunk, 20% for the climate, another chunk for the electronics, and 0% going towards the battery care, aka the battery cooling system. So it didn't need to turn on the battery cooling system today because of the temperature of 32 degrees, which happens to be ideal for lithium-ion battery. So that's great. I had the air conditioning on. Remember, when they quote the range of the car, the air conditioning is not considered in the equation, and it's taking up a huge chunk, 20% of the energy. So air conditioning was on 21 degrees, and I also had someone else with me at the back of the car. That's another important consideration, because again, the WLTP range assumes just one person, the driver, in the vehicle, so more weight to move around, so that makes a difference. So without further ado, with the efficiency we got today. If I do the math, we end up with a real world driving range of 340 kilometers, which is shy of the car's WLTP 370 kilometers, but we are at essentially 92% of the real world driving range figure. Again, 2 people in the car, air conditioning was on. I did drive it in normal mode, so if you drop it to eco mode, I suspect there will be improvements then as well over there. But you know what, with 92% rear wheel driving range on a hot day like today, I think that is a great result. And always something I'm very impressed with these Hyundai cars is that they give really good efficiency. I don't know why, but I might have come in with this preconceived idea that just because this is a relatively cheap car, right, with government incentives, as I said, 12,500 euros out of the showroom, that to get there they were going to cut corners and not give us everything we need. But you know what? That is completely not the case. What further impressed me, the second you get in and you start to feel the steering wheel and get out on the road, is the build quality of the car. Definitely stands out from the competition. I think in terms of the exterior design, I think that's going to be a bit of a hit or miss. You're either going to like it or you don't. Inside the car, it is quite busy, so it's not a minimalistic interior as we're starting to see from a lot of brands. This is quite a busy interior. The advantage of that though is that yes, you do get physical buttons for your air conditioning, for example. So it's definitely a car to consider, especially in this small A to B segment electric vehicle market. Guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts on the Inster, leave them in the comments section down below, and don't, as always, forget to subscribe and like this video. But as always, I hope I've convinced you that the future is electric. Hi guys, again, thanks so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button over here. If you're a frequent viewer and you want to